Was the allegation that you were bad-mouthing President Trump true?
No.
Was the allegation that you had created a do not prosecute list to give to the prosecutor general in Ukraine true?
No.
In fact, didn't the corrupt prosecutor general himself later recant those allegations?
Yes.
The next debunk of this timeline has been used a lot lately in news articles. Fact checks, pundits on TV. I think we even have giraffes at some major zoos saying, "Oh, you got that fact wrong." Well, it's probably the most misleading fabrication I've ever seen by the mainstream media. A large part of the story is how Obama and his administration was strong-arming the Ukrainian government by telling them who they could and couldn't investigate. The U.S. policy at the time was that Soros-funded NGOs and various other people of interest to them, like the head of Burisma, were off limits to the Ukrainian prosecutors. It was first reported earlier this year by that evil guy, John Solomon, that the former prosecutor general of Ukraine was being told who he could and couldn't investigate by the U.S. ambassador. Now, the U.S. ambassador I know is a super swell person who never could lie. She's the best ever because she just testified. And while none of us could hear her testimony, we did hear some of the things she had to say that was bad about Donald Trump. Of course, nobody was allowed to cross-examine her, but she's super, super great. Okay, I want you to watch this interview. Okay, just watch.
From another hand, it is true that I had some difficult personal relationship with the Miss Ambassador. Unfortunately, from the first meeting with the U.S. Ambassador in Kiev, Miss Ambassador gave me a list of people whom we should not prosecute.
Oh, the lying liars, and the lies those liars tell. I want you to keep something in mind here. This prosecutor is the one that took the place of the man that Joe Biden had fired. So when Joe Biden was bragging about it, and he said, and we got a good guy in there, this is the good guy. They claimed Shokin was corrupt, even though they never, ever brought a single specific claim against him at all. But the new guy, Lutsenko, that you just saw, one of the good guys. Now, the good guys was now saying exactly the same thing his now fired predecessor had said, that he was being told not to investigate the head of Burisma, the Soros NGO, and a slew of others. Now, if the media was actually doing their jobs and being impartial here, they'd make the point that this statement would at least appear to corroborate the now disposed prosecutor that Biden had removed. They're saying the same thing. But did they do that? They instead, let's see, how do I put this respectfully? They lied their ass off to the American people. The media started blatantly making stuff up, writing their own fabricated story to hide what really happened. They initiated one of the most misleading lies I think I've ever seen from the media. The media began making the claim that Lutsenko retracted his statement, that there wasn't a do not prosecute list. I remember, I listen and read the New York Times, the Washington Post, so you don't have to. And I'm reading them, and I'm listening to the Daily, and I hear them say, well, that was just recanted. He took that back. And I came into the office, and I'm like, what? Guys, can you help me out on this? How did we miss this? The Washington Post ran an insanely slanderous story attacking John Solomon, claiming he, quote, foisted a bogus story. One of their biggest points in that was Lutsenko, the guy you just saw, went back on his statement regarding the do not prosecute list. Now, the Post uses this to slam the Hill, saying, quote, there's no update correction to the Hill article to note that Lutsenko had retracted this allegation. Wow, that sounds bad. So there's the Post saying it, and I heard it on the New York Times. Why didn't Solomon or the Hill or anybody offer a correction? Because I'm going to have to. I mean, if this is true, it would break a large chunk of our claims regarding the Democrats in Ukraine. And that is exactly why the media is going so hard on it. But I don't take anybody's word. I do my own homework. What bothered me was, how were we duped? How did we miss this? How would a prosecutor who would know full well the implications of making such a grand claim and then go back and say, you know what, never mind, kind of made that one all up? Why would he do that? It makes no rational sense. So we began to try to track down this retraction. Oh, watch this one. The New York Times linked to the Post. The Post linked to the Wall Street Journal as their evidence. And the Journal just simply states, Mr. Lutsenko later retracted the allegation. Okay, well, can you show me where's the attribution? Where's the evidence? Where does this come from? If the media is going to accept this as gospel truth, shouldn't they at least show the footnote? Let us know where they got this? This is a huge part of the overall story, right? So we kept looking. One of the most widely used links provided as evidence that there was a retraction comes from this Ukrainian news site. It's also referenced in factcheck.org's master timeline of everything you need to know in the Ukraine scandal. And so they, of course, say that Lutsenko recanted. But let's check out the source. Now, the headline says exactly what everybody thinks. Ukraine Prosecutor General Lutsenko admits U.S. ambassador did not give him a do not prosecutor list. Oh my gosh, Glenn Beck, your whole chalkboard is going to fall apart. Sounds bad until you read their source. This article is referencing an interview that Lutsenko gave to the Ukrainian news site, The Babel. The interviewer asks specifically, very specifically, about the meeting with the U.S. ambassador. Lutsenko states that after he and his staff told her, the people they were investigating, the following occurred. Quote, she said that this is unacceptable. They say it will undermine the credibility of the anti-corruption activists. I want you to remember that for episode 3. I took a piece of paper and recorded the surnames that she had announced and said, dictate a list of involatile persons. She says, no, you misunderstood me. I said, no, I understood you correctly. Previous such lists were written in presidential administration on Bankova, and you offer new lists from Tankova, the U.S. Embassy. The meeting is over. I'm afraid the emotions were not very good, end quote. So where's the retraction? The ambassador did not give him a list. She gave him a list, and he wrote it down. She didn't slide a piece of paper. So it's all a lie. He retracted that. She never gave him that list. Oh my gosh, you are kidding me. They never mentioned the fact that it was verbally dictated and he wrote the list down himself. Are you kidding me? This is how the media is fact-checking and debunking. They are playing with our republic and Ukraine's republic. They are planting dynamite all around everything that we hold dear. And how do they sleep at night? Everyone that now reads their stories actually thinks that there was a retraction of one of the most damning parts of this entire case. You must blow that up, or you can't use the ambassador as a credible witness to say anything about Donald Trump.